All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the third part of the show, we're going to talk about Kirk Cousins being introduced by the Falcons, what he had to say at his press conference. There was a couple of things a couple of quotes that I wanted to go over. And then also get into possible illegal tampering involving the Falcons and the Eagles. So some of the things that Kirk Cousins said, he said, talking about Minnesota, he said, I think in Minnesota it was trending over the last couple of off seasons to being somewhat year to year. As we talked with Atlanta, it felt like this was a place where if I play at the level I expect to play, that I can retire a Falcon. That was something that really excited me, and that's certainly the goal. You've got to earn the right to do that, but that was exciting to feel like I could get that opportunity here. So, yeah, so I guess this is something that's kind of been building up for a while, that, the Vikings, they were still, I guess they were on the fence on whether to, keep him or not. Now, again, the Achilles injury really didn't help. I guess that kind of really sealed the deal for Kirk to go elsewhere. And listen, he got paid, and you got to give him credit for that. And if he bounces back next year, he's going to put up good numbers. The Falcons, talk about the playmakers that they have. They also added Darnell Mooney. They also made another trade that we'll get into in the final part of the show, adding another receiver. Again, not a major move, but they got Rondell Moore from the Cardinals. So there's weapons there, and I think in Minnesota with Hawkinson and Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I would probably still lean towards taking them over the weapons here, but he's stepping into a good situation. The Falcons are an up-and-coming team, and they're definitely going to be competing for that NFC South next year. So, yeah, so I guess Kirk wanted to go, and he said it. He wanted to go somewhere where he knows he's going to retire there, and it looks like it's going to be the Falcons. So, but now let's get into the tampering situation. So the NFL is reviewing whether the Falcons and the Eagles violated tampering policies during the legal tampering window. The Falcons, of course, signed Kirk Cousins. The Eagles signed Saquon Barkley. So with Barkley, Penn State football coach James Franklin stated that Eagles GM Howie Roseman pitched Barkley on the connection between the Eagles and Penn State's fan bases. Barkley clarified that the sales pitch regarding Penn State fans and the Eagles was through his agent, not directly from the Eagles. Teams are allowed to communicate directly with agents during the negotiating period, but cannot speak to players unless they have no agent and represent themselves. Falcons stated they are unable to provide information or comment further due to the NFL's review, while the Eagles have denied the claims. Cousins, of course, expressing his excitement about joining the Falcons and highlighting the quality of the people with the organization. So, because there was a couple of things. I mean, he talked about meeting, I think, someone with the training staff, and then also, like, he was talking with Kyle Pitts, and Kyle Pitts said, no, it's because Kirk Cousins wants his number 8, and he said, I would do anything to get it. I'll donate to whatever charity. And Kyle Pitts basically said, I just want more targets. And Kirk Cousins was like, yeah, I know he was joking. And everyone on social media is like, no, he's not joking. He's being serious. So I thought that was funny, but I guess that plays a role. I think the reason is I think from what I was reading, he was talking with, again, someone with the training staff, and I guess he did that before he was supposed to, supposedly. So we'll see what ends up happening. I know this has happened in the past. Because I saw like the Chiefs with Jeremy Maclin actually. It happened with him. So I guess there was illegal tampering there, and I guess they took away draft picks. So here we go. The most recent example of punishment for tampering in the NFL is the Dolphins, who were determined to have tampered when they did when they were recruiting Brady. The league docked Miami their 2023 first-round pick and their 2024 fourth-round pick. All right, so this was an article I was reading. But I also saw Jeremy Maclin as well, if I'm not mistaken. There was the Chiefs were doing some illegal tampering there, allegedly. So, Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on what ends up happening, what the NFL gets out of that those investigations. Um, but yeah, let's get back to now Kirk Cousins. So I talked about the signing, of course, but it seems like he's very excited to be with the Falcons. Again, I expect him to put up good numbers if he bounces back from this Achilles injury. But again, he's 35 years old, but not a guy that uses his legs. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's still one of the traditional pocket passers that we still have left in the NFL. Um, I mean, with the weapons that they have, and again, you bring in Darnell Mooney, and now you trade for Rondale Moore, which we'll get into in the next segment. I mean, I think Kirk Cousins is going to do well. He's going to perform, and again, he just has to be healthy, bounce back from this Achilles injury. And again, you got the tandem of the running backs with Algier and, of course, Bijan Robinson. So, yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of weapons. And you got an up-and-coming defense. I mean, I'm curious to see how Raheem Morris is as the head coach. But, I mean, again, they're in a division that is very winnable. As much as I want to see the Tampa Bay Bucks win it again and run it back with Baker Mayfield, it's going to be tough now. Now, again, Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback, but, I mean, what's the ceiling now with the Falcons? I mean, again, this NFC is not loaded. I think the Falcons adding Kirk Cousins, they're kind of in like that, second tier of teams. Well, I mean, however you want to divide it up, because I think the 49ers are in a tier of their own. So, yeah, they're kind of in like that. The Falcons are kind of in like that second, third tier. If you have a healthy Kirk Cousins, I believe, because they do have a solid roster. And, again, winnable division. So, again, the Panthers, I think, are that fourth-place team. So, again, it's going to come down to, the Saints, the Bucks, and the Falcons. Again, can the Saints carry that momentum from the end of the season into next year? Again, it's not really, but you at least got to like what you got to at least take that and be positive going into next year if you're a Saints fan. Even though they're another team that's dealing with a lot of, they seem to be dealing with a bad cap situation every year. So, the Falcons, listen, if they had better quarterback play, they probably end up winning the division. So, but they're taking a risk. It's a 4-year deal. And, I mean, Kirk Cousins is getting $100 million guaranteed. So, they are really taking a gamble. And, again, I mean, it could pay off. But, I mean, realistically, how far do I see the Falcons going? I mean, I think they could win a playoff game. But, I don't know. I mean, there's still, again, they're in that second, third tier, but I don't know. I mean, there's other teams that I look at that I think are still better. And Kirk Cousins isn't a guy that, is going to take you, he's going to elevate. Well, again, he puts up good numbers. But, I mean, he's not, Patrick Mahomes. He's not Joe Burrow. He's not Josh Allen. He's a solid quarterback. I mean, again, he's going to win you games. He's going to win you a lot of games. But is he going to win you the big games? So far, he's been in the league for a long time. He's with Washington. Then he signs with the Vikings. And, the most the Vikings have done is go to the second round. And the most recent playoff game that he played in, they lost to Daniel Jones and the Giants. So, but part of that was because the Vikings defense was not good. And I was curious to see, what the Vikings were going to end up doing when they started winning games. They got off to a rough start. Then they started playing really well, and Cousins looked like he was going to, be up there for MVP. Maybe he would have won it if he didn't get hurt. That's how good he was playing before he got hurt. And then he ends up getting hurt. They put in, Josh Dobbs comes in, and you're thinking, all right, maybe the Vikings are still going to, make the playoffs. Nope, that was not the case. And, I mean, it was disappointing. But, now he goes with the Falcons, signs with the Falcons, and, if he's healthy, right now, I I might be biased and just, still side with the Bucks, but I mean, I take the Falcons, to win the division. But again, he's got to be healthy. And let's see, how his presence now impacts, these playmakers like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, because I mean, from a fantasy perspective, I mean, every year it's like, is this year Kyle Pitts is gonna, pop off, and this could be the year with Kirk Cousins. So, I mean, did well with Hawkinson. Back when Jordan Reed was, playing, he was a solid tight end. Put up good numbers with Cousins. Jordan Reed is really going back. But yeah, I mean, now you got Kyle Pitts, who we're waiting. Actually, let's pull up Kyle Pitts' stats. And Drake London, let's see what now he can do with Kirk Cousins. And you hope that Bijan Robinson gets the ball, and you don't have that mysterious incident in the Bucks game where he didn't play. He was playing, and then Arthur Smith took him out, and then he got put back in the game late. I don't remember that whole thing made no sense. But yeah. So these are his career stats. So actually, in 2021, put up over 1,000 yards. And that was with Matt Ryan. Yeah, that was with Matt Ryan. Then 2022, 356 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then 667 yards in 2023 and 3 touchdowns. So yeah, I mean, with Kirk Cousins, I think you're going to see an uptick in those numbers. I think you're going to see a lot more touchdowns. I think he definitely has the potential to eclipse, his career high in touchdowns in a single season. I mean, again, it's only 3, but again, it's been hard. And I mean, look at the quarterback situation he dealt with last year. I mean, Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. It just, hopefully, you have stability now with Kirk Cousins, and I think you will. As long as he stays healthy, which I think, he should be able to stay healthy, and hopefully the Falcons protect him. Because that's the other thing too. But again, we'll just have to wait and see. And then with the Vikings, I mean, actually, there was a trade that went down that I forgot to mention, actually involving the Vikings. So they made a trade with the Texans. They did a pick swap. So the Vikings have acquired the 23rd overall pick and the 232nd overall pick in next month's draft in exchange for the 42nd pick and the 188th pick, as well as a 2025 second-round pick. So the Vikings probably are taking a quarterback in the draft, I guess to sit behind Sam Darnold, because you got to remember, Sam Darnold is Viking. So, so I guess that's basically what that means, is that the Vikings are going to try to trade up or they have traded up to try to, grab a quarterback. And I guess Sam Darnold's going to be like that bridge guy. And again, I like what the Vikings have done, in the off season. But I don't know, going into next year with Sam Darnold as your quarterback. I mean, again, he's got a great supporting cast around him. With Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Hawkinson, and they signed Aaron Jones. The defense played better. So, I mean, Sam Darnold's stepping into a good situation. But again, how is he going to perform if he ends up being the starter? We'll have to see. So, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we come back, we are going to talk about the latest offseason moves. I did just talk about the trade, the pick swap between the Texans and the Vikings. But we'll also get into some of the other deals that have been made recently. We'll take a dive into the remaining free agents, and then that'll be it for the show for today. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.